with No Code Devs. We are hosting this event, so thank you so much for being a part of the No Code community and embracing the No Code movement. So we really appreciate it, and we have Thunkable and Xano here for this partner workshop. We're really excited about both these tools, and we've got Prakash and Domhnall from Thunkable, Prakash with Xano, with us, and some of the other Xano team members on the line as well. So for sure, we'll be able to answer any questions that you have. There's a really strong group here that really has a deep knowledge of the product. So I'll stop talking. I'll go ahead and let them get started. And again, just feel free to put your questions right in the chat as we get started.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. We're really excited to have everyone here. First, huge shout out and thanks to the team at No Code Devs. You've always been really accommodating and helpful to us. We always like partnering with you on events. So thank you so much for hosting. And then also just very excited to be doing this with Thunkable. We've been hearing so many wonderful things about Thunkable for so long. So when we got the chance to kind of come together and put this together for you all, it was a really exciting opportunity for us. So, we're going to obviously be doing a Yelp-style app today using Xano as the back end and Thunkable as the front end. I'm going to be very quick. I'm just going to go through just high level about what Xano does and then create a very quick backend. And then I'm going to hand it over to Domhnall, and he's going to create the front end of this application. So without further ado, I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So first and foremost, my name is Prakash. I am one of the co-founders and the head of product of Xano. And for those of you that don't know Xano, Xano is the fastest way to build a powerful, scalable backend for your app or website without using any code. And I always like to give the audience a little bit of a primer just around software development. Many of you may know exactly what's going on in the software world, but because we have a lot of new people in the no-code space, I think it's helpful. So in most software, you have the front end, and that's what the user sees, and you have the back end, which is all of the business logic that happens behind it. And to really explain kind of the dynamics of the two, the front end, again, is that mobile app. It's the visual nature of what the user interacts with. And then the back end is all the processing and all of the nuance around how things happen and all the coordination that requires to push information back up to the user. And there's always a metaphor that I like to use to describe the interaction between these two, and that's called the restaurant metaphor. So in a restaurant, you have a customer, right? And that customer places an order with a waiter. And like I want, for example, a cheeseburger with extra lettuce. And then that waiter takes that order and gives it over to the kitchen that then gives the food to the waiter and then makes a happy customer. So in this metaphor, the front end, and what we'll be showing today, is what the user interacts with. That is Thunkable. They represent the customer. The waiter is the API, right? They're the messenger that goes between the front end, being Thunkable in this example, and the back end to make things happen. And the kitchen is really that server and database, which is your hosting, your storage. It really represents how fast you get your food. And so it's just helpful to understand the dynamics of how the back end and the front end all work together. And Xano really powers does the waiter's job and the kitchen's job here. So what I'd like to do now that you have that rough primer on what the back end is to create a very quick back end to show you how quickly you can create a back end in Xano for this Yelp-style application. So let's go into the product, right? So I'm going to create a workspace called Xano Loves Thunkable. I'm going to hit continue. Just worth noting, I'm going to start from scratch today, but if you're coming from Airtable, you can import your Airtable bases and content. You can start with one of our backend templates, but I'll just start from scratch today. And the first thing it asks is to define some database tables to get started with. So most applications have a user table. In this case, I'm going to also add a merchant table. Those are like my restaurants or stores in the Yelp-style app. And then I'm going to also maybe do like a ratings table, right? So that's going to have all the ratings associated with each individual merchant. And those are the only two things that I'm going to need. And then you'll see this checkbox that says it's going to include all the CRUD operations, which is create, read, update, and delete. Those are all the commands that that API messenger knows that are going to automatically be created for these 3 database tables. So I'm going to hit continue. I don't want to add any features for now, and I'm going to click finish. So what this does is it generates a workspace that I can get started with. So I want to first start with the database. The database is the heart of the application. It's where all of your data is stored. And I'm going to just go ahead and add 2 users. I'm going to add myself. So I'm going to just do Prakash. I'll do prakash@email.com. And I'm going to also add Domhnall. So I'm just going to say Domhnall. And then I'm going to go Domhnall. I'm hoping I'm spelling that right, buddy, at email.com. Okay, there we go. So we got the users down. Pretty straightforward. So then I'm going to add a merchant table. And you can see that it's blank right here, but just like an Airtable, I can add a couple fields. So I'm going to go ahead and add a name, right? Because I want to basically have a name of the merchant. I want to add a description. And then I also, I'll also go ahead and put a banner, right? Like a banner image for this, this restaurant. And then finally, what I'll do is a location, right? And this is exactly where it is in the world. So I'm going to go geography and I'm going to do a point. And this kind of is, this separates Xano out from a lot of these other no-code backends is we do geo and geofencing and all this good stuff. So I'm going to actually add 2 merchants right here. I'm going to add Firestone Grill. That's one of my favorite restaurants in San Luis Obispo, California, where I'm from. And I'm going to say tri-tip sandwiches are amazing. Okay. And then for the banner photo, I can just upload an image. And I'm going to say this Firestone Grill that I had for this presentation. And then for this location over here, I can just double click there. And I can just type in actually Firestone Grill. Right? And then I can, there it is right there. It finds it on the map. I'm going to add the point and I'm going to save it. So just very quickly, I was able to add all of the attributes for this one merchant. I'm going to go ahead and add one more. So I'll go ahead and do Square Coffee Roaster. And I know this is Domhnall's favorite coffee shop. So amazing coffee. And then I'm going to do the banner image here. And I'm going to say, okay. And then I'll do the same thing here. So I'm going to say Square Coffee in Kildare, right? And so it's this one. It's going to find it. I'm going to add the point here and I'm going to save it. All right. So I'm just going to do these 2 shops right over here. The final table that I want to fill out is the ratings table. And the cool thing about Xano is it makes it really easy to set up database relationships. And so here, what I want to do is I'm going to add a table reference in the ratings table. So the first thing I want to use is who is doing the rating, right? So I'm going to do a reference to the user table. And then the second one I want to set up is what restaurant is being rated, right? So I'm going to do a reference to the merchant table. Okay, so that makes sense. I'll finally do a text as the comment, right? Because sometimes when you do reviews, you want to leave a comment. And then I'll go ahead and do an integer this time as the rating itself. Okay, so now that that is all good to go, I'm going to go and say that myself, I love Firestone Grill. So you can see how easy it is to just map these things together and say, I love it here. And then I'm going to give it a rating of 5. And then for Domhnall loves the coffee shop. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. And then I go here every morning. Okay, so now that we have ratings, users, and merchants all done, that's all the data that we need for this demonstration. Then we can go to our API, and we're going to go into our API group. So as I mentioned before, all of the CRUD operations are automatically created for us, but I'm going to go ahead and add a new API endpoint so you can kind of see the dynamics of how an API works. So I'll do one, and I'm going to go start from scratch. It's going to be a get command. I'm going to get information from this API, and I'm just going to call this merchants near me, okay? And so when I go ahead and save this, it's going to open up to Xano's no-code API builder. There are 3 sections: inputs, what the user takes from the front end; the function stack, a linear list of functions that gets executed; and then finally the response in terms of what it's returning. So on the function stack, I'm going to add a function. I want to get all of the merchants, right? So I'm going to do a database request. I'm going to do query all records, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the merchants table, right? So immediately you can see there's one function over here. And when I go ahead and run and debug this, you can see it's passing back all of the information that I entered, right? So I can see there's Firestone Grill. It has the banner, the latitude and longitude. It also has square coffee roasters over here. But one of the cool things in Xano that I wanted to show in this very brief demo is I wanted to not only pass over the merchants, but I wanted to also pass the ratings associated with those merchants in the same payload. So we have this fancy feature called add-ons. If you've used GraphQL before, it's very similar. It basically allows you to enrich the data that you're getting back from Xano. So remember, not only do I want the name of that merchant, I also want to go ahead and add the ratings associated with it. So Xano asks, okay, well, what do you want? We want ratings. We want a list of ratings because there's always multiple ratings, and we're going to map that by that merchant ID. Remember, ratings are associated with that table reference to the merchant. So when I click next, it's going to automatically name it for me. And I'm going to go ahead and just change this to ratings. And I'm going to click done, and I'll click save. So now when I run this, you'll see that not only am I getting the name of the restaurant, but I'm also getting the ratings associated with it. So you can see very quickly that we've been able to build a backend that has ratings and reviews associated with merchants that I just very quickly entered in. So what I could do to extend this is on the user input side, I want to know where they are in the world because I want to show them locations that are very close to them. Because we only have an hour, I'm not going to go through all of this in detail, but basically I would add an input. I would go to geography and I would click point. And I'll just say user location. I can call this anything that I want. So now what happens is when I run this, I can actually assign this as part of this query all records to say, make sure that the records that you're returning back are sorted by the ones that are closest to me. And so I'm not going to leave you hanging. What I can do is if you go to go.xano.co/thunkable, you're going to see a backend snippet. And this snippet basically has everything that I just created, including all of the instructions around how you can pull the user's location and sort restaurants that are nearby. So after this demo, go ahead and install this. You can click preview snippet. You can install it on your own Xano instance to get started with. But with all of this set and a good baseline foundation set, I'm going to go ahead and pass it to Domhnall so he can build a front end to the back end that I just created.
Awesome, thank you. Excuse me. Thanks a million, Prakash, for that. I am. Oh, excellent. There I am now. So great to see everybody. And just to echo your original sentiment there around thanking no-code devs for all their support, and also big thanks to yourselves for setting this up and for teeing it up as well. With the back end and the context as to where we are and what we're doing at the moment. So let me just share this screen with you over here. And again, for anybody that missed the first webinar, I guess we did a demo recently on no-code devs, and you can check it out on their website as well, of like introducing Thunkable, introducing the excuse me, introducing the platform, and showing you kind of how to get started with our data viewer component and how to load data locally. And if you're new to app development, new to front end development, basically with a Thunkable project, you can add any sort of UI elements that you like. You can connect it together with various different blocks behind the scene to add functionality, and then you're able to preview in your browser as you're building your design. You're able to test in real time on your phone. I'll try and give you a quick demo of that as we're going through it as well today, and then you can also download it directly onto your device, and that's kind of where we're kicking off from today. So it's kind of more of an intermediate to an advanced project. So like I say, if you're new to the platform, new to app development, do jump onto the no-code devs website, check out the first webinar that we did last month, and it gives you an example of how to get started with all of these things. So the the backend that we have here with our list to merchants, our ratings and our reviews, I've gone ahead and like just added to that slightly. So we've still got Firestone, we've still got some of our favorites, and I've added some cafes that are here that are near me. And what we want to show is how we can use location data from your phone and using your location sensor, and pass back the things that are nearest to you. So what I found super easy about using Xano was that it generates all of the documentation for you straight away like this. So here I've got the center of my town, and it's able to it's able to tell me what are the nearest cafes to this location, and it's able to give you feedback like that. Again, in the interest of kind of like saving time for everybody, we went ahead and mocked up a little UI, a little design of what this should look like. So massive props to our designer Quentin, who mocked this up for me here. The app that we're building today is called Drip Advisor, and what it does is it takes that back end of cafes, your ratings and your locations, and it presents them in a nice, attractive, easy to view, easy to follow fashion. So we've got a splash screen here at the beginning, just to let you know where you found us. It was on the Thunkable and Xano collaboration here on No Code Devs. And on the first screen here, we've got a little button here that allows you to tap into your phone's location sensor. That's what we want to do. We want to have a little animation here while all the loading is happening in the background, and then we're going to send back a list of the locations and the cafes to the app itself. Once you have that list there, you're going to click on one of the individual items, and you want to see a detailed view. So where the cafe is, what it's all about, and ideally to scroll through some of those ratings as well. So we'll get a nice little image here, and we'll be able to check the location, and that will bring us over here into our map screen and so on, like that. And yeah, we can probably preview that over here. So what does that look like in Thunkable? A lot of this now again is done ahead of time, but similar to Prakash, I will share some of the links here with you on the call, and what you'll be able to do is you'll be able to pop in connect to your own Xano backend, and you'll be able to populate this with whatever it is, your favorite public parks, your favorite public spaces, your favorite cafes, restaurants, whatever it is, however you want to customize the look and feel of your app. You're able to do that then with the UI that you have here in front of you. So what we've got here in terms of the design is just a couple of images. We've got a label here, and we've got a button. And again, if you're new to Thunkable, to load all of these things or to connect all of these things together, we've got some blocks in this blocks tab over here. What we're doing here is navigating to our start screen. Similarly, on our start screen, I've got some of these giveaway blocks just while we're doing a demo. We're going to jump into our home screen, and our home screen is actually where all of the calculations, the computation, the communication as well with Xano is actually happening. So we've got this animation here in the foreground while things are loading. We've got a list viewer then behind it, and that's going to just show us the list of the apps. And we've built out a little custom menu bar. So again, this is kind of, as I mentioned, an intermediate to an advanced style of our project. If you're just getting started, we do have like built-in tab navigators here, so you can use a drawer navigator, a tab navigator, anything like that within your app, and you can use our default styles. But again, because this was a project we were really interested in and wanted to share with as many people as possible, we've gone the extra mile here and customized the UI for it as well. So we've got a kind of a home screen, we've got an information screen here with the details about each individual cafe. And then we've got the actual map component itself, and so when that loads, that's just going to pop up with the pin and show you where to find great coffee in your area. So let's have a look at these blocks and have a quick description, I suppose, of how everything joins together, how everything works. And yeah, it basically, if I go back to my Xano database here, I'm able to get the API endpoint here, and I'm able to make a copy of that API endpoint link. Again, through the documentation, I'm able to test it out in real time and get the real responses. So you could put in wherever your location is, and this is the request URL that I used. So just a copy and paste operation, and just paste it straight in into the URL, a web API URL here in Thunkable. And so because the Xano API endpoints support all the CRUD operations, get and create, read, update, and delete, we've got a web API block over here that does the front end side of that for you. So you've got get and put and post and patch and delete. All of those operations are available just within a single block. And what we do is we send off that query here with, at the moment, just a hard-coded in latitude and longitude. And the response can either be successful, or if there's no internet connection or something like that, the response might fail. So the first thing we do, I'm going to zoom into this one a little bit more closely here because there's a good bit going on. But the first thing we do then is do a little bit of error handling. So all of our blocks, or majority of our function blocks like this, will have some sort of an error here, just in case anything does go wrong along the way. And what you can do then is you can check if there's an error, and we can output it to, in this case, I've created a little debugging label, pop it into an alert or log it somewhere if you want it. The next condition here, so the else statement here, is like assuming that everything goes right. So we get our response from Xano, and we have built-in blocks in Thunkable. So it's like very, very easy to interface with any sort of API data. You can do conversions from JSON into objects, and from objects back into JSON, back and forth. So we take the response, we convert the JSON that we get, and we convert it into an object here. For doing a little bit of troubleshooting and debugging myself, I just counted how many responses I got, because I wanted to make sure that the number of results that I had here, matched up with what I was seeing in my app. And then I create an empty list. So again, we kind of looked at in the previous webinar how to use local tables and how to use data sources and stuff, but yeah, what we've done here is just created a list of cafes, and we go ahead then and just grab the first 5. So these are the 5 that are nearest to the user. So we show the names of those just by getting the name property, and to kind of figure those out, to see you know, what properties you want to access, you literally just go back to your Xano table here, and you've got, you could use ID, you could use create add as well. If they're useful to you, you can use them. But I think the most important ones for our user are the name, the description, this banner for sure, and ultimately the location when we want to display whereabouts the location is. Once we've got those all in a list, all we do here is display those list of cafes in our list viewer. And the last thing we do then, just to make it interactive, is when the user clicks on something, we just store which cafe they've clicked on, and we take them over to the next page. So what I was going to do is try to just display this really quickly for you, but I might just take you through the last block here. So all we're doing is when it opens up on the next page, we use our cafe index variable, and we get the properties that we're interested in. So whether it was our banner image or our cafe description text or anything like that, we are able to visualize that. We're able to display that directly on the screen. Okay, so I'll do a little bit of screen sharing, screen mirroring here. See if we can get this up and running. Here we go. Let's get this started. And let's jump into a preview app. So this is the Thunkable live app. I'm not sure if you're able to see me on the camera on the screen there, but this is obviously a non-ideal way to show you what's happening on my phone. Instead, on my screen share, you should be able to see a screen mirror of what's on my device. So if I click get started, I should and in here. Let's live test it. So this is an app that comes with Thunkable. When you sign in, you can it comes for free. It's in the App Store and it's in the Play Store, so it allows you to test out apps on your device. Here we go. Now we've got it reloaded. So let's just jump through the splash screen. Gives you an explanation of what's happening. We're going to find some cafes that are near us. It goes off and it fetches those, and we can see then we've got the ones that are closest to the center of the town. And if you haven't been to Kildare, would recommend that you come and take a visit, but these are the ones that are closest to the middle, and I think Square was the one that Prakash mentioned there in his own, so we'll take a look at that one there. So it goes off, it gets the cafe name, it gets the banner image, it gets the description as well that we've added in there as well. And there's some lovely things that you can do with the images as well. So you can do resizing stuff. So you could have like a thumbnail in the previous view, and then you could have a larger view, a detailed view as well when you're pulling that down. So lots of different options there in terms of like conserving bandwidth and getting the app to load as quickly as it possibly can. Yeah, we can go back. We can get another list of those here. Sorry, I have to click the actual phone. Load those up again, and here we go, like that. And it'll go off and it'll fetch there's just a bit of a lag in the screen mirroring rather than the app itself, but yeah, it's able to kind of display all these different images and grab all that data from the database, and that's using like a static location. So this is based on being in the middle of the town, which is not exactly where I am. So what I wanted to do was try and do a bit of a live demonstration here, which is great practice obviously. So I want to create a location sensor here in Thunkable. Let's zoom in a small bit. So we have lots of different access, lots of different integrations with Firebase and Google Sheets and Airtable and so on. You can add push notifications. You can work with the components on the device. So a nice kind of stretch goal for a project like this would be to allow your users of TripAdvisor to go take a photo and write their own reviews of their favorite cafes. And what you could do here is take a photo of whatever building is in front of you, whatever establishment is in front of you, and you could send that back to Xano and store that in the database in that way. Again, if you're concerned about bandwidth and usage, we have this new block here that allows you to do resizing on device. So yeah, directly on your phone, you can make that image a bit smaller or a little bit bigger as well. And yeah, what else can we do here? So I was talking about sensors. We have again the best thing I guess about being a native mobile development platform is that you have access to all of the sensors and that or many of the sensors that are on a typical smartphone. So we've seen lots of great like fitness type apps built with these various different sensors here. I'm going to throw in a location sensor, and we saw that yeah, you can calibrate it to a certain extent here. This should be fine for our use case. And we're going to get our location. So when you're building an app, when you're coding an app, let's say with Thunkable, it's as simple as like putting a jigsaw together. So what we want to do is find out where the user is, and when we know where they are, then we're going to send off that API request. So the location sensor, again, it does error handling, so we should probably throw in the best practice here would be to do a little, if there's an error, log the error, if not, but just for the sake of today's call, what we're going to do is pop in the latitude here, and we want to pop in the longitude over there like that, and that's as simple as it is. So now I'm taking my latitude and my longitude, I'm passing them back to Xano. Xano is going to give me a different set of results because I'm in a slightly different location. And again, what we could do is we could change that out. So if I were to be mobile, if I was on the go, we could see that changing as well. Now let's see if we can get some screen mirroring back in action. Gonna have to just reload this, I think. But if you bear with me for a couple of seconds, if there are, I see there's lots of questions in the chat as well. If you do have any, please. About Thunkable or about Xano, please send them on. Lots of our colleagues are on the call as well, so I see people out questions. While this loads, you have a follow-up. We have a great as well platform so you can direct your response. Yeah.
Donald, we're losing your connection just a little bit there.
Sorry about that, Art. I think because I was trying to walk and talk and chew all at the same time. So previously, hopefully this is coming in a little bit better, but yeah, previously what had been happening was it was Firecastle and Square, I think, were the first couple that it was showing to me, and now we should have a slightly different order of the list. I'm still in the same town.
While you're working on that, I'll just say that we'll make sure when we send out the recording of this to get with Thunkable and Xano and make sure you have all the links to all these instances so that you're able to bring these projects into your own environment and work with a starting point. I think we can do that. Correct me if I'm wrong, either one of you, but we'll make sure that you have those links whenever we send out the video. You can also probably throw them in the chat right now too if they're available, but if not, we'll get them afterwards.
Okay. Yeah, cheers, Art. Yeah, we'll definitely send out all the links. While this loads, while this decides to, apologies now for my technical difficulties here with my internet connection. Hopefully that everybody's able to still hear me okay. What I'm going to do is while that thinks about it, just show off a couple more of the features that I mentioned at the top of the presentation there about Thunkable and things that you can do with it. So yeah, one thing you can do when you're testing your design is you can actually preview everything directly in your browser. So it's not a fully functioning phone, obviously. It doesn't have access to any of those sensors that we just mentioned in the but it does allow you to check, does everything look okay, is the layout right, and that kind of thing. So you can make a change to your design, and you can preview that then on the let's say we decide we want our logo to be a different size and we want it to be in a different place.
Hey, Donald.
It's very simple to do with the UI designer that we have now.
Hey, Donald, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Yeah, we're having some connection problems. Your audio isn't through very well, so maybe just for the minute, stop sharing your screen. See if that helps with the connectivity.
Okay. Yeah. Hopefully that hopefully the audio improves there a little bit. Is that any better now? Is the audio quality? Do you feel is that a little bit clearer?
Yeah, it's right. It's sort of in and out. So I think yeah, it's just a little bit choppy. So I think we got through most of it there. What I want to do here is do some Q&A. I think unless you have more, and you can try again. But I think it would be a good time to do some Q&A. I know there were some questions that came in through the chat, and then just some general Q&A as well. So if that sounds good, we can go ahead and get into that. So if we want to open it up, anyone who has any questions, I think there's a couple here. Again, just because there's so many people on the call, let's put them in a chat. One of the questions are there functions methods to call the geo distance? That was a question.
Yeah, I can answer this on the Xano side. So that was actually something that is in the payload. We actually calculate the distance in meters and actually do a conversion into miles. You can do it either way depending on where you are, and we actually append that to the response, and that's I think how Domhnall is doing that calculation on the things nearest to me. And there's more stuff. There's like fencing that you can do, perimeters and things of that nature within Xano.
Yeah, and then from the Thunkable side of things, there's basically like an equation that you can write and calculate all of these things manually, and a number of people have shipped with that, but there's quite an amount of effort and work involved in it. And so one of the things that was really exciting when Prakash and myself were first talking was seeing how relatively straightforward it was to get the distance calculation done on Xano and then just pass the result to Thunkable and let our web API component then do the UI, do the front end side of things. So you could, if you really wanted to, do it in Thunkable, but much easier to just do it on the Xano side of things.
Awesome. Any plans? Another question. Any plans to support Wear OS? Not sure who that's directed at, but if anyone wants to take that.
Yeah, I guess that'd be directed at me. We don't have any immediate plans for Wear OS, but we are conscious that there are lots of different devices and device screen sizes at the moment. So If you jump into your settings, when I share the Thunkable design with you, you'll see not only can you change the orientation of the screen that you're designing in, but you'll also be able to change the actual device that you're designing on as well. So historically, it's been a mobile phone designer, but now we've got support for tablet and support for different orientations as well. So yeah, really exciting time if you're new to the platform. Really exciting feature, I guess, that we're adding in for existing users as well, of course. But that's on the larger end of the screen sizes there, Ned. No immediate plans to do Wear OS as of right.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, 1 second here. Gotta fix something. Okay.
And just one thing to add, and I think Esteban kind of mentioned this, but I think one cool thing that I really like about Thunkable is its ability to tap into the phone sensors pretty easily. I think traditionally in other tools, while it's possible, it's not necessarily as straightforward. So as you can see, just tapping into the user's device location is as easy as just clicking the button and then replacing the latitude and longitude. And then I also know there's offline support. So lots of cool stuff that I think Thunkable does in relation to the device.
Yeah, and a pick on it as well, I suppose. So when you want to leave the platform, you can download as an APK or an AAB file for publishing, and you can also install directly on your iPhone or your iPad while you're testing. And then there's also a way to go directly from Thunkable to the App Store, so that like that you have access to those native features and native sensors, because the output of the product is a native mobile app. And I know that somebody mentioned earlier about web app, or was there any other support for web apps? But that's also in the publishing section as well. So you push to Android, published Apple as a web app as well.
Another question here. Jared, with the fencing, I'd be concerned about rate limiting or total allotted calls per month. How is the Xano API metered?
Yeah, so just at a high level, there is no rate limiting on the built-in geo support that we have. So you shouldn't have to worry about that.
Awesome. Jared says awesome as well. I think we have, if there's any additional questions, continue to ask them here, but we have a couple more minutes. If either Prakash or Domhnall, you want to share anything else, tidbits about the platform or just anything else that you think is worth sharing, I think that would be really good. And if some questions come in, we'll take those, but otherwise we'll get it wrapped up. There is a question here: what programming stack is Stunkable built on?
So one of the main elements or one of the main components of the stack would be React Native, but like a lot of what we're doing is we're working together different technologies ourselves in-house. So we have our own our own builds that allows you to take the UI that you design, the blocks that you kind of write your code or your app logic in, combine all of those, and then output it to whatever it is, an Android app, whether it's an AAB or an APK. And then you also have the ability to export directly to the App Store and as a web app as well. So there's a lot of technologies there, but the short answer is React Native and there. Yeah, you can do responsive apps and mobile web apps as well. So I might, if I had the ability to just share my screen for a second, I might just show illustrate some of those art. If you just throw me on as host there for 2 seconds, I might try and just preview that or demo that really quickly.
Yeah, and just so you know, there's still some intermittent connection issues on your end. So I will let you know if it's not coming through very well, but I just wanted to make you aware of that. Still a little choppy.
Cheers, thanks. Cool. Okay, so yeah, apologies again for the poor audio today. We'll try and tidy that up. And better state. So yeah, the options here for testing, whether you want it on your device or you want it to install it on your Android device. And then you also have the ability here to publish as a web app. So again, because this is using like native mobile features, this isn't a great candidate. But essentially, what you'll do is you'll get a URL for your project. I think I need to click publish. But there you can see again very quickly the UI. You can see where it lives on the internet. So there's a lot of great use cases for this. We have if you're let's say you're an agency or you're prototyping stuff, you can share this with your colleagues or with your clients really quickly and get feedback from them. Similarly, then you could have this as a web app. And what that does then is it will remove the phone screen, phone border here, and it will take up the entire browser window. And again, you get a URL, and we have a plan there where you can place this within an iframe as well. So some of the not available to free users who are joining, but if this is something that you want to white label your own web app, then yeah, we have an option. Apps, or you can have mobile web apps like that, and yeah, every time basically you make a change and you click on publish the current version, those apps go live, and the URL stays the same, and you'll be able to see them there like that. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing because I can see my internet is giving out to me again.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. Couple other quick questions. I think this one is for Xano. I lost this here. Any chance of seeing a more friendly entry-level price point on Xano, a scalable plan versus flat fees? I mean,
yeah, I think I guess the honest answer is we're constantly trying to figure out the right price points. Right now, the way that we have it structured is we want to make it as easy as possible for anyone to like get started on their project and build for free. And that's why our build plan is completely free. Then obviously we have the launch and scale plans. So I think that or Jared, I'd love to maybe talk even offline around like, as you get past scale or the need to scale, how you'd want to see the fees adjust, because every app is different. They scale very differently. So it's kind of hard to kind of design a box that fits everyone. But so far, we feel like this is the best iteration of our pricing, especially because you can do so much in the free tier.
cool, thank you. Is it possible to white label the Thunkable web app? I don't know if that's specifically like to the domain or all the branding, but are you able to white label it, Donald? Let me see. There you go. I think you can talk now.
Yeah, that's it. Similar answer there, I guess. So if you join up as a free user and a new user, it's not something that's available to everybody out of the box. But then we have pretty decent starter plan there, and then a pro plan that you can kind of upgrade or expand into, and they give you the ability then to, or the pro plan, excuse me, gives you the ability then to embed your app inside of an iframe then, and white labeling, removing Thunkable branding or whatever around it. That's the way so far, and planning hopefully then down the road to add some more options to that as well. That's a great question, cheers, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, great question. Well, that gets us pretty close. I'll allow Xano and Thunkable to sort of make any sort of closing remarks. Point anyone who has any additional questions, you can point them your way. We can also include any contact information for sure when we send out the recording of this workshop. So we will do that, but I'll go ahead and turn it back to you guys. Anything else you want to say, and then we'll go ahead and wrap this up. There is one more question, Prakash, when you're going in the chat, if you want to handle that.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I'll answer the question first and then give more general closing thoughts. So if you have an existing Postgres database, we're working on a pretty robust CSV import And that would probably be the best way to bring that in. If there's any way you could connect that the Postgres data via an API endpoint, you can obviously bring it in that way. We have also people that export to Airtable and use our Airtable import. So there are a number of different ways to get it within Xano, but no direct like Postgres database connector just yet. It is something that we've talked about internally as a team, but we don't have that yet. So ways to bring in data, better ways coming soon, and just keep, I guess, a pulse on our launches to see if something more robust comes down the way. And I would just say in closing, again, I wanted to thank you all for attending. Thanks for hosting No Code Devs, and thank you, Thunkable, for including us in this awesome demonstration. I think it's pretty impressive in the no code world that you're able to build kind of a fully functioning location-based app in such a short amount of time. And just kind of one note that I'll leave on with Xano, there may be a mix of beginners and advanced people on this call. I can tell by the nature of the questions. Xano is, certainly a little bit more of a technical product. I always tell people, if you're building something very, very simple, then there are so many amazing tools, including Airtable, that I always recommend you validate your ideas on, get some customers on, and just really that's what it's about, right? Validating your ideas in the market. But as soon as you want to leverage a platform, a no-code platform, to really take your product to the next level, we are a great platform to graduate into, and we do our best to really educate users on how to graduate from beginner to intermediate to advanced. So we'd love to have you check out Xano. Go to xano.com, check out that snippet. Thank you once again, and yeah, hopefully we'll see you on another one.
Awesome. Thanks a million, Prakash. And just thank those yourselves for the kind of groundwork and legwork that is for our demonstration today. It was.
I'm not sure if you can hear me, but you got a pretty bad connection. We can't hear you. Maybe just throw something in the chat. Yeah, I'm sorry. It's just not coming through. But I will say thank you so much to Thunkable and Xano for doing this. We really, really appreciate it. I think that there's a ton of great tools out there, but the resources aren't always available. So workshops like these really help, illuminate how you can do different things with no code tools. And to Prakash's point, like, it's just so amazing how, today you can do what we just did, pretty quickly, without writing, any sort of code. It's a drag and drop environment. So it's really exciting. And I think there are many more great things to come in the space. And, certainly, keep an eye on these tools, and we have videos like this and lots of other workshops that we've done as well on nocodevs.com. So be sure to just sort of always check out nocodevs.com, subscribe to our email newsletter. Since you were on this event, you'll be notified of any future events that we do. And yeah, we're just really excited for everyone that's interested in the no code space. And thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. We'll put everyone's contact information in the email out when we send out the video. So if you have any further questions or need to access like any of the snippets that were shared, we'll be sure to include all those. So unless anyone has anything else, thank you all so much. And no worries on your interconnection, Domhnall. It was mostly good. There was just some points where it chopped out. So we heard 95% of it. So yeah, thanks so much. And everyone have a great day.